Good afternoon. Okay, this is a door latch mechanism from a Bluebird Wanderlodge LX40. It's a 2000. And the problem was the outside handle door latch wouldn't, or started becoming very poorly when it opened the front door. You had to, like my wife had a lot of trouble opening it because you had to sort of push in on the door and pull the latch at the same time to get the jaws to open up and release the door. On the inside, it didn't have a problem. Anyway, I thought I have, with some help from the Wanderlodge Owners Group website, the WOG, and taking this apart and spending some time, I have figured out using their advice, and I have also seen really what the problem is and how my first attempt failed. Anyway, I thought I would just create this video to kind of show other people, anybody who's interested, what it looks like. So this is, I think they call this a striker plate. I'm just going to call this the latching mechanism or unlatching mechanism. And I have removed it all from the door. So if you take the door skin off, you will see this part is right where, obviously, where the striker hits the pin that's on the door frame and holds the door closed. It sits right in there. This is not quite properly latched, so just ignore the fact that it normally does close properly. I've just been doing it with a wrench. Anyway, and just a brief explanation of what everything is here. So this is a little keeper. The rod comes down and enters into here, and this one goes up to the little latch that's at the window, the one that everybody says remove it or disable it so that it doesn't actually drop down and lock the door, and then you can't get it open without, you know, coming through a window. So this one I have completely removed the rod. I left the little green keeper here just because it's there. This one here goes to the door latch, or the key that is on the outside door latch that is part of the mechanism, and we never use it, but that's where this one goes. This one here goes down to the, can you see it? Yeah, this one here goes down to the door latch that is operate the outside door latch. This is it. You open that lever and it pulls down on here and operates, and then this one here goes to the inside door latch, which is just off to the side, and it pulls. So this plate here is the actuating mechanism. And so if I flip it over, and you'll see these are two separate pieces here. I could take them apart, but you can see it's separated at this plate here, and then it's just, these are the four, but I've only got two installed. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that hold the striker plate into the edge of the door jamb, and then it also, those 4 screws also hold the mechanism to the striker plate. If we look at it from the back side, you can see this is the mechanism, or the spot where the 2 latches are held on. This one again goes to the inside latch. This one here goes down at this angle to the outside latch to get the door open, and then this was the top lock that goes to the slider one up by the window, and this is the locking arm or holder that goes down to the key that's on the outside door, which we don't use. Anyway, and so let me so this is the repair here. So I'm just going to unscrew it just so it kind of loosens off a little bit. I didn't have available to me any better kind of screws here, but let me take this apart and I will just show you how it would be in its factory state, or as is state. I think there's a spring missing. I believe it goes from here, and I don't know where it goes to, but it's to provide just a little bit of tension on this rod here. This at the moment, this rod is really kind of doing nothing. I think this one you're supposed to get like a carburetor spring and cut it and make it fit, and it is supposed to pull, and I think perhaps put a little bit of tension on this arm here. So let's see if I just even use this little screwdriver, and you can see it kind of just mates up to here. And so this little arm and the little arm for, you can see I'm wiggling it here, this arm here, they both push on this arm, and this arm is connected over here, and it's got the little spring, and it is also on the same rivet. You can see it's onto this big thicker plate here that comes down, and it bends here, and then its little arm goes down inside into the striker plate, which is, you know, it's got the jaws on it, and that has the little latch inside that gets pushed up, and it pops these jaws open when the door is operated, the door handle is operated. So it's all kind of interconnected, obviously. So what the problem becomes is that when you're here, I'll operate it so I don't want to latch it, but you can see, you keep your eye on this pin here. You can see that pin there is kind of just in there loose, and it does kind of wobble around a bit. But what happens, or what is happening in my case anyway, is there is room, there's slop in that mechanism right down here where my thumb is pointing, and you can see that little connecting rod swivels a bit before anything actually happens. And what it's supposed to do is connect this outer plate to the bottom plate, or the inner plate, so that they kind of operate somewhat in concert to keep the relationship between the latch movement on the door, inside or outside, doesn't matter. Keep them in concert with the big lever that is pushing against the catch inside the striker plate. And so you can see when I just wiggle it like this that there is a lot of movement. You can see up at this end of it as well that pin moves, or that little steel wire moves quite a bit, and that puts so much slack in it that when from the outside door pulling on this one down here, it creates so much slack in the mechanism that the outside door latch pulls, but it can't actually, when it pulls like this, it can't actually move this arm high enough against this arm, which pulls against this arm through here, to operate the striker plate. So the fix, and this is on the WOG, and it's a known problem, I'm just creating this video to kind of show it. So the problem, or what the solution is, you drill the little hole right there and put a screw in it, and with a washer or something, so that it keeps this arm tight and it stops it from walking around. As you can see, it walks around. There's just so much movement in it over time that just becomes sloppy. So the idea is to tighten that up. So if I pull it, get my fingers out of the way here. So if I pull it and I operate, you can see that it does eventually go, but it's everything is just walking like this, has so much slack in it. And you can see if you look at it from this direction, so now that, you know, the jaws are now open so the door can open, but you can see how much slop there is, you know, down here and on that connecting wire. It just maybe the light might be pretty bad, but I'll see if I can get some light in there. But you can see how much it moves before anything actually happens. Like it moves, you know, more than 1/8 of an inch before it even actually does anything. Okay, sorry, the phone kind of stopped, I think, automatically. But, anyway, you can see there's just so much slop there before the rear plate, which operates the mechanism to hit the strikers before it can even go, and that's the problem. So the solution is you drill a hole, put a screw or something with a washer or something on it to keep tension on that little iron rod, and that tightens up the slack here so that it operates faster. So that's what I showed you at the beginning. So let me just reinsert this stuff. In my case, I did it the first time, and all I had was like a rubber washer that I used, but the rubber washer, obviously it had slack inherent in it, so it worked fine when I tested it all apart, and then I put it together and it worked fine for like 3 pulls of the door, and then it started going back to what it was doing. So this time I've just I removed the rubber washer, and I've got this lock washer on here with the little washer to make it fit. And let me get this in here. Come on. There we go. So thank God for a Robertson screw, not like those crazy crappy Phillips. Anyway, there we go. So you can see that the lock washer, maybe you can't, the lock washer, the split in it, I've got it on one side and then the other side. So I think that should work. And then I've trimmed the screw down so that there's a slack or a space at the other end. Ideally, I would put some red Loctite on here, but I don't have any with me, unfortunately. There's tons at the race shop, but none here. Anyway, make sure that's nice and tight. So let me close this up again. And now you can see if I'm pulling on the actuator mechanism from the door handles, now it's a lot tighter. There's a lot less slack. You know, it's only more than a 16th, but less than an 1/8. And I'm kind of looking down here at this angle here because that's where the rod is. But you can see that the rod is now very firm, much stiffer than it was. And so it's only going to take, you know, a little bit of pull on the actuator mechanism. You can see like all the slop has just kind of gone out of it by clamping down on this end. I'm not going to, right, I think I mentioned I've already taken off the top lock here. I'm not going to use these locks. So the reality is I probably could take this rod out and put a screw or something through there with a little nut on the back end, or even big screws. No, and just something a little bit more solid, but I'm okay with this. This seems to be a tried and true repair, and I'm going to go with it. I have ordered a new one of these anyway, but I'm going to try this. I did lube up this spring. It was looking a little bit rusty, so I put some oil on it. But you can see, so there, if I hold it and I'll just give a little bit of a tweak. Oh, shoot, I had my fingers in the way, but anyway, it just released, half released. Make it back good again, get my fingers out the way, and you can see that with this shaft not moving so much, it works much nicer. Anyway, I just thought I would do a video of that, of sort of how things work and what it is you're trying to repair. And yeah, like I said, I should probably get a spring, but once I put it back together again, unless it fails, I'm not probably taking it apart. I'll buy a spring and have it in my kit, and I will put it in. I don't know where it connects to, you know, sort of outside somewhere. It makes no sense that it just stretches from here to here. That doesn't do anything. So it must go from here to some anchoring point on the door skin. But anyway, there you go. That's what's going on with, if you're having a door latch mechanism problem. Hopefully this doesn't loosen up. I don't see why it should. It's not like it gets a whole lot of movement out of it, so it shouldn't work its way free, but if it may over time. We'll see how it goes. That's about it. Thanks.